Hi guys, and welcome back to Marant's Rants. Plenty of good information, a little bit of motivation, a whole lot of truth, no financial advice. This is a one-take session, no edits, no cuts, about, well, propaganda. Now I know there's a guy out there called Dan Olson. Never heard of him a day in my life, but apparently he does documentaries. From Canada, cool dude from what I could see initially when I saw his documentary about GameStop this morning. Everyone was pushing it out there last night. Everyone says, you got to watch this. This guy's creating FUD. This individual's attacking investors, and he's telling the story in the wrong way. So I watched the video. And Dan, his YouTube channel is called Folding Ideas. I push play, and I let him speak. And he talked for a long time. A lot of word salad. I mean, just throwing up all over the microphone as far as what he felt how can I put it, our motives, why we're invested with GameStop, what this movement is. And I think he has me confused with like a ton of other people. You know, I've never sat here and said 10 million a share. I've never gone out here and said these outlandish things that he was promoting. I know that he took Cosmic for his word. He clipped a lot of people. He clipped Tetron Invest, Tobit, myself, so many people. And he used that part of the doc. The documentary is 2.5 hours, guys. And I watched it at 0.15 just because I don't have 2.5 hours to sit there. Obviously, I sat there this morning while I was still making videos and doing some research that I do. But I'm just curious, Dan, the timing of this documentary is impeccable, by the way. It's coming out to create this narrative that we're still not here, that we left or we gave up. And then in addition to that, to say that the ones that are here are psychotic and crazy. First, let's go ahead and get this out there. We're not connected in any way. And I'm talking about me being a retail investor. And I don't call myself an ape. I never have. Maybe I did in the beginning when I was delusional about what could be happening. And I was just like that. I was just like the way you describe people. Certainly in February, March, and April, I was like, what the hell? But somewhere in there, my mind triggered. I said, wait a minute, this is not it. They're pumping and dumping on stocks. And for a lot of us, we're just informed investors. You know, initially, before anyone ever got involved, I've been investing for, 20 years? Dan, give me a break. The phones didn't exist back then. Twitter wasn't a thing. YouTube wasn't a thing. So the amount of information we can get readily, like instantly, just like when your video dropped, got the info right away. They're like, hey, man, this guy's full of it. I said, oh, okay, well, let me check it out. So your piece is well done. It's well funded. Looks great. I know how hard it is to create content. I could never do what you do. Honestly, you have a gift. But I know of a documentary being made right now by a bigger YouTuber. And when that one drops, I'm curious, are they actually going to put out the information that you put out and the way that you put it out? Well, at least that guy actually talked to me. You just clipped a couple of pieces out of context, but we'll go over that as well. Dan, I saw your whole thing from start to finish. And for whatever reason, you wanted to paint the delusionals at Bed Bath & Beyond tied up line in line with GameStop investors. Not 1 minute of that video was about private equity. Not 1 minute of that video was about the balance sheet and the improved fundamentals of GameStop, the company. It was all about stock price. It was all about MOAS and the delusion of. Your 2.5 hour video could have been about 20 minutes, honest. But you made it this production piece that it was. You probably thought you were pretty funny when you did it. But for me personally, it missed. It missed me totally. But we'll go over it. But of course, this is GameStop propaganda, and by your words and your definition alone. So let's go ahead and look at what propaganda is. And I'm going to use your words, not mine, and you tell me if I got this correct.
Is, however, not a triumph of filmmaking. It is a triumph of budget. None of the ideas or techniques were new. It is simply that no one had previously thrown enough money and resources at propaganda on this scale before. We'll come back to this and develop it in more detail, but I want to be upfront with the fact that you should be highly suspicious of any messaging surrounding propaganda. Okay? So, vocabulary groundwork. We're going to make a distinction about what we mean when we say propaganda. Broadly speaking, propaganda is just any goal-driven ideological message, and a lot of stuff incidentally falls under that umbrella. For example, any official message from an activist community meets the literal definition. Signs encouraging you to, pick up after your dog. So the first thing that we need to make note of is the textural difference between the literal definition of propaganda and how people actually use the word. Contextually, propaganda is used derisively. It's not merely used to describe the literal characteristics of some text or another, but carries with it a value judgment, with the implicit understanding that propaganda is bad. Memetically, propaganda represents not just rhetoric, but some degree of dishonesty. Not an attempt to persuade, but to deceive. Not an attempt to inform, but to inflame. And even by this metric, there's still plenty that qualifies as propaganda, from white nationalists spreading false statistics about crime, to corporations trying to paper over the damage they do, to vloggers being paid to pretend to like a video game. So
I ask, who pays you, Dan Olson? Because by your definition, propaganda, I mean, someone's backing it, right? For me personally, I mean, I'm out here live right now on a Sunday morning before I go to work at 11:30. That's not you. I believe your nickname was Too Depressed to Work. That was your old nickname, I'm being told. I don't know much about you other than the fact that you've cleaned up, hopefully, and you're not too depressed to work, but now you're coming out. But let's go ahead and take your video, your propaganda, by your definition, and I hope everyone understood your definition there. But this is where you take me out of context. And so, of course, I'm going to come out and let you know what it is.
This is just supply and demand.
All I have to do is buy one stock, GameStop, feel good about it, and watch the world crumble.
a thing that's kind of beautiful about a short
See, so you were talking about a short squeeze at this part of the video, and you were saying, you know, MOAS is going to happen, and then you were using Cosmic Lightning Warriors quote as in to say 10 million a share, infinite risk, and that's what he's describing. He's not saying that he's going to get 10 million like you would think he is. It's more like a joke, like a satire. He's just saying infinite risk. That's exactly what it is. That's theoretically what could happen to a short seller. But you take it way out of context and to say, I said buy one thing and watch the world crumble, as if I'm happy to see it happen. But if you look at the video you took that clip from, that's from Connect the Dots part 24. Just so happens to be the Michael Jordan story. So what I was saying was when I buy one stock and I watch the world crumble, I'm not talking about the actual world. I'm talking about Michael Jordan's world, the billionaire world of owning a sports team, how he leveraged his position against GameStop. Now, this is all known, but you took it out of context just to, I guess, take that part of the video that you needed. But we'll go to another part of this clip that you take as well, way out of bounds. You start putting together PP Seeds, Kais Malej, the rest of the crew that I have decimated. I went ahead and destroyed these guys for their narrative that Bed Bath & Beyond and GameStop were together. But this clip was well before PP Seeds even made a damn YouTube channel. This clip is actually after the fact that I already talked to Kais Malej and told him it's never going to happen, Bed Bath & Beyond and GameStop. Because I came to the conclusion that if anything were going to happen, GameStop would do it themselves. But there's the Teddy clip, and this is from December. And of course, this is what you do.
So as I do it here and I see it, guys, these guys are expanding their catalog, but without throwing up the flare. Hey, we're getting bigger. So now what can happen for GameStop? GameStop can absorb Teddy at any time. And in verse, they already have it all set out. The map is there. He's been building it in secret behind everyone else. And now you have a partnership.
So let's take a moment to marinate on this, to consider just how far we've really come. We've gone from vague.
So nowhere in there did I say it was Bed Bath & Beyond. I said it was Teddy and GameStop merging together. That was a theory back in 2022. Your video is 10 months later after we've already put out how many more pieces of data and facts, statistics, everything to support the cause that we know what's happening. We knew what was going bankrupt. We knew why it was going bankrupt. And nobody thought that there was a merger coming. Certainly not with Bed Bath & Beyond. Got that off the table over a year ago, almost a year and a half ago. But your documentary is well timed today, right now. Then you do this shit. This is the part that really upset me to a point, because if people understand all the words you put together, I'll explain it.
narrative that justifies its conclusions. In that regard, apes are, in fact, a reflection of the system. Really, the only major difference is that the things they are gesturing towards are not merely wishful thinking based.
Before you even get to this part, you keep calling retail investors apes. That is not that. AMC investors, yes, I get it all. But there's a lot of us out here who don't even go onto Reddit. We don't even post on Wall Street Bets or Superstock, any of it, none of it. We just follow a stock. We understand the fundamentals. We know what Ryan Cohen's doing, and we shop at GameStop because we like the company. But this whole picture you painted, I get it. I really do. This is propaganda. Right.
Based on suggestive data, but entirely confabulated nonsense. Nothing in ape psychology is new. Addiction to gambling, the pressure of social control, we are all vulnerable to these in some degree, but when you get deep into these places, it takes on whole new forms. Apes are, as a result of their conflict with reality, particularly vulnerable to being further targeted by confidence men and other grifters. Some of them grift the apes for low-stake fame and prestige, some to wash their pet theories and gain support for their political policies, and some for plain old hard cash. It can be...
Yeah. And, I'm actually going to let this part play. This is a part where you find out I'm not just like cookie cutter. This is all
difficult to have empathy for apes because, frankly, a lot of them suck. They are conspiratorially minded and thus prone to all sorts of terrible beliefs, many of which dovetail into express anti-Semitism, making them ripe for recruitment into even...
That right there. So if people can read between these racial undertones, where is it that you get to drag out your idea that anyone has any racial stance on this? I've thought about this. I could have done an edited piece. I could have gone out there and broke down the whole 2.5 hours. Therefore, my video would be 4 hours. And I'm petty enough to do it, but nah. You don't get my energy. You don't get my time. You don't know what's happening here. It's clear. You're reporting on the past. Your propaganda piece is there to diffuse and or to decimate anyone's, I guess, curiosity in what GameStop is and where it's going and what it's been through. But you told the story from one side. You told the story of what you feel is really happening and or happened. But unfortunately, that's not what did happen. You see, this channel's been here for almost 3 years now, over 2,000 videos, and you would say, well, he's just chasing an idea. I've broken down the balance sheet. I've broken down you as far as how you approach this. You say we're gamblers and or we want wife-changing money, yet this channel promotes family first, get your ass back to work, and don't over-leverage yourself. Only buy what you can afford, if at all. This is the most grounded place you're ever going to find, but yet you took clips out of context and you put them out there for yourself. Touche. Folding ideas. Fold this one up and put it away. We're GameStop. Can't stop, won't stop, GameStop. And when I say I'll see you around, millionaires, it's because I have a dream, much bigger than yours, obviously. And the only way that something can actually happen is you got to dream it and think it up first. So that's what I did. And it's been coming true for a long time. 6 months from now, I want to know when you make a new propaganda piece. Because you're going to have to. This one's not going to stand up well against time. It's just not. GameStop fundamentals are undefeated. And when you dig into the bigger story, not the short squeeze story, not the whole King Griffin story, I'm talking about the private equity story. If you don't understand, I have a whole series. You've already watched them because you clipped Connect the Dots Part 24. You tell me why you didn't touch on the narrative of private equity, manufacturing and manipulating these outcomes today. Period. Every company that's gone bankrupt and or diluting floats and reverse stock splits and stealing money from the public. Where's that video? I've been asking America for the real deep dig, the deep dive, the due diligence, whatever they want to call it. Tell me, where's the doc about private equity? If anyone wants to take part on this, but chances are there's no money backing it, but there's money backing you. I get it, Dan. I really do. There's another documentary coming out real soon, guys. I can't give you all the details, but I will tell you, I took part in another one, a bigger one, a YouTuber with 3 times as many followers as this guy. And I'll tell you something, maybe that information and that story will be done the right way. But this one, this is just a self-gloss moment for him. No interviews, just a whole bunch of clips he did himself. No one else, no debating words here. It's one side of the story, and it's actually wrong. Propaganda. For all you GameStop investors, just know, well-timed, well-edited, well-funded. What else do you expect? I expect this always. Hey guys, it's gonna get worse. But as I've always said, you will survive 100% of your worst days. GameStop, can't stop, won't stop, GameStop. I'm gonna see you around, millionaires. Enjoy your Sunday. I'm gonna take my ass back to work. Peace.